It was Christmas Eve in Vienna, and our house overflowed with relatives, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Yet beneath the noise, I felt an odd heaviness. My mother had recently hired a maid to handle the chaos. Her name was Alara. She arrived without warning, carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a letter of recommendation so vague it seemed written by a ghost. From the first moment, she unsettled me. Her movements were too quiet, almost rehearsed. She never joined in meals, never spoke unless spoken to. Her pale eyes lingered too long, as if she were memorizing the shape of my existence. Once, I caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her gaze was fixed on me, though her body faced away. My stomach twisted with a dread I couldn't name. The first time we spoke alone was in the study. She entered without knocking, carrying a tray with a glass of water. "Are you thirsty?" she asked, her voice flat, neither kind. I shook my head, but she placed the glass on the desk anyway. Her fingers lingered on the rim, pale and still, as if she was waiting for me to touch it. "You don't sleep much, do you?" she said suddenly. I stiffened. "How would you know that?" Her lips curved into a thin smile. "I hear you, the way you toss in your bed, the way your heart races when you're awake at night." My throat dried. "You shouldn't be listening." She tilted her head, studying me like I was a specimen under glass. "I don't listen," she whispered. "I just notice." The silence stretched. The ticking clock was deafening. Finally, I forced myself to say, "You make me uncomfortable." Her smile widened just slightly, but her eyes never warned. "Good," she murmured, and left, the water glass trembling faintly on the desk. That night, I left the lamp burning, certain the light would keep her away. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, every muscle tense. But sometime past midnight, the door creaked. Again. Through the mirror across the room, I saw her, Ilara, standing in the doorway. She stepped inside, barefoot, her movement too smooth, as if she weren't walking but sliding across the floor. Her eyes caught the lamplight, glowing faintly, like glass catching fire. "Why do you fight sleep?" she whispered, her voice both near and far, echoing as though it came from inside my skull. "What are you doing here?" My voice cracked, barely a sound. She leaned closer, bending in unnatural angles, lowering her face toward mine until her pale eyes filled my vision. "I want to know," she murmured, her breath cold against my skin, "how your heart tastes when it stops." I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Her hand hovered above my chest, never touching, yet pressing down as if an invisible weight crushed my ribs. My pulse thundered against her unseen grip, faster, faster, until my vision blurred. The last thing I saw before everything went black was her smile, thin, sharp, stretching, too wide to belong to anything human. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed. The fluorescent lights stabbed at me, and my family hovered around me, pale and shaken. They told me I had screamed violently in my sleep, thrashing until they broke down my locked door. Alara was gone. No suitcase, no clothes. Even the letter of recommendation my mother had kept was now just a blank piece of paper. The doctors told me it was exhaustion, a hallucination, a nervous breakdown. But I noticed the way the nurse avoided my gaze, the way her hands trembled when she adjusted my IV, as if she too had heard something. And sometimes, when the hospital room grows silent, I feel that weight pressing down on my chest again. We were 5 friends traveling abroad. None of us were locals. We'd come from different places, studying in the same university. On our last night, instead of sleeping early, we decided to take the rental car out for a long drive. We wanted to see the countryside before leaving. It was late, almost midnight, when we left the city. The main road was fine, but after a while, one of us, David, suggested taking a detour. He'd heard about an abandoned road people didn't use anymore, a shortcut through old villages. The air felt different as soon as we turned. The trees pressed in from both sides, branches forming a tunnel overhead. The GPS showed nothing but a black line stretching ahead. The farther we drove, the quieter everything became. No cars, no houses, not even animals. Just the sound of the engine. After about an hour, David told me to stop. Ahead of us was an old stone bridge, broken at the edges, moss growing everywhere. The air smelled like damp soil and something rotten. He grinned and said, "Let's sit here for a while. Play a few hands of cards. Nobody will disturb us." The rest of us hesitated. It didn't feel right, but the group followed him. We sat on the hood of the car, headlights dimly lighting the cracked road. At first, it was almost fun, but then we noticed how silent it was. Just a heavy kind of silence pressing down. That's when we heard it. A low sound, like someone breathing through water. Then words, broken and wet. "Come, sit." We froze. The voice had come from the riverbed under the bridge, but the river was long gone, just mud and weeds. Emily whispered, "We should go, right now." We hurried to the car. That's when we found the tire, split open, not flat, not punctured, but torn as if something had ripped through it from inside. While Daniel tried to replace it, I stood with a flashlight. That's when I saw him, a man, or something that looked like one, standing on the bridge. His clothes were soaked, clinging to his bloated body, water dripping down though the ground was dry. His head hung too low, tilted unnaturally to the side, and his eyes glowed faintly. I whispered for the others to look, but when they turned, he was gone. We tried to stay calm. Daniel kept working on the tire, but then a new sound came, tapping. Soft, deliberate taps on the windows of the car, one by one, circling it. We backed away slowly. The tapping stopped. David, trying to laugh, walked closer to the car to check. "There's nothing there," he said. Then he froze. His eyes went wide, and he stumbled back. "There's someone inside," he whispered. We ran to look. The car was empty. The back seat was wet, soaked through as if someone had climbed in straight from a river. We didn't care about the tire anymore. We shoved the tools aside, dragged our half-finished repair into place, and drove. The car stopped. The wheel rattled, but we didn't stop. That's when Emily started crying. "He's here," she said, covering her face. I looked in the rearview mirror. For a split second, I saw him, sitting right beside her, smiling, his mouth hanging open, water running down his chin. His reflection stayed in the mirror, even after I turned my head to check. We screamed at her to get out of the seat. When she moved forward, the seat was empty, but the smell of rot and stagnant water filled the car. We drove faster, praying for the city to appear. The road twisted endlessly. Then, suddenly, headlights ahead, another car, abandoned, rusted. As we passed, every window was filled with pale faces, staring, not moving, not blinking. By the time we reached civilization again, we were too shaken to speak. We parked under bright lights at a gas station and got out. The back seat was empty, but there was water pooled on the floor. Floating in it was a set of playing cards, arranged neatly. The same cards we had been using. And just before the gas station's noise swallowed everything, we all heard it. Faint, but clear. Come back. When my grandfather was a young medical student in the 1970s, he took a short placement in a remote Hungarian village outside the city of Debrecen. The village was small, silent, and old, older than the people who lived there. The locals rarely spoke to outsiders. And when they did, their words carried a weight my grandfather could never explain. One night, long past midnight, he was woken by a knock on his door. When he opened it, a tall man stood outside. His skin was pale, his eyes dark and sunken, and his voice was low, steady, and strange. "Doctor, one of our animals is sick. You must come with me." Behind him waited a wooden cart, drawn by 2 black horses. The air was so cold, it burned with every breath. My grandfather wanted to refuse, but the man's stare was heavy, expectant. Against his instincts, he agreed. The cart creaked along a path my grandfather didn't recognize. Deeper and deeper into the woods they went. The only sound was the squeal of the wheels and the horses' hollow steps. The man finally spoke again, but only in whispers. He repeated the same words over and over in broken Hungarian. "Do not answer them if they speak. Do not answer them if they speak." My grandfather's unease grew with every passing minute. He wanted to ask who they were, but something inside told him not to. At last, the woods opened into a clearing. There stood a stone farmhouse, sagging, abandoned, its roof half collapsed. No light, no smoke, no signs of life. The man led him inside, but there was no cow, no animal, not even a stable. Instead, at the center of the room stood a long wooden table, and around it sat figures. They looked like villagers, but something was wrong. Their skin was white and thin as paper. Their eyes were cloudy, unfocused, yet they turned their heads toward him in perfect unison. A woman with long white hair leaned forward and whispered, "The doctor has come at last." My grandfather froze. He hadn't told anyone he was a doctor. He hadn't spoken a word. The tall man, the one who brought him, gestured sharply. "Examine them. They are waiting. Do not refuse." One by one, the figures leaned toward him with trembling, skeletal hands. Their voices were faint, but clear enough to hear. "Remove the soil from my lungs. Replace the worms in my stomach. Stitch the shadows in my eyes." Their words grew louder, all overlapping. "Take the water from my bones. Scrape the silence from my throat. Heal what has already died." Their cold fingers brushed against his coat, his arms, reaching for him. Panicked, my grandfather turned back, but the man who had fetched him was gone. The door was shut. The cart, the horses, everything had vanished. And then, in one voice, the figures rose from the table, their whispers weaving together. Into a single phrase, "Now, doctor, you belong to the table too." He never explained how he escaped that night. He only said that by morning he was back in the village, shaken, his clothes damp with frost. Within the week, he left Hungary and never returned. And even decades later, when he told the story, his voice trembled, not with age, but with the memory of pale faces waiting in the dark, whispering to him, calling him one of their own. Blackwood Academy, a school with